Hey guys, I'm over here with author Austin Chambers. He is the author of the book Cascadia Fallen, Tahoma's Hammer. We're over here at the Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club, and we're going to be doing a little interview. He wrote a book, and it's an awesome fiction, but it's based off of a lot of true things and a lot of prepper elements in it. So this just came out. I just read it. I'm going to be having a review coming out pretty soon. So I thought we could talk a little bit more about the book, on how you got going with writing the book, some of the ideas in it, and maybe talk about some of the cool prepper things that were mentioned in it, and then maybe some next steps as far as it's part of a three-part series. So again, thanks for, Austin was kind enough to bring us out here and take the whole family. We've been exploring this whole rifle range. So I don't know, maybe we could just get started on how you got started with the book. And
I'm that guy at work that everyone would always go to. I mean, I do technical writing and stuff too, but if someone was going to retire, they wanted that funny PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I almost got too good at it. I think I got in trouble once or twice. So you're not supposed to roast them that well. So, but I've had this inclination for most of my life that I would be good at writing. And I think that probably started in college when a teacher kept using some of my stuff as examples. So I saw 50 coming down the pipe. And I've been working an overhead job without any overtime for several years.
Yeah.
And so what can I do? Well, maybe try writing a story. I did not want to write just another prepper manual that happens to be told in the form of characters. I wanted to write a real story, something that people can connect to and is character driven, happens to have some preparedness tips in it.
Yeah, so it's a total character-driven one, but for me, this is almost the perfect book for me to review because it takes place in Washington, largely Western Washington. It's about the Cascadia subduction zone, which is that's the big one. When that happens, that's going to be bad news. And then the main thing, Tahoma's Hammer. Tahoma is the Native American name for Mount Rainier, which is the beautiful. In all the photos of Seattle, you see Mount Rainier in the background, and you see the
flying in,
and you see the Space Needle in all the photos. Spoiler alert. Both of those go down. So Space Needle goes down, Mount Rainier erupts after.
You can't destroy Seattle without dropping the Space Needle.
So these events happen in the book. I think that's pretty obvious. It's in the back here. So, and then it kind of takes place there's a bunch of characters in it, and we're kind of following these characters with their kind of like they're going to bug out locations and using bartering and stuff like that. It's how did you go about kind of mapping out the whole storyline? You were talking about having an Excel spreadsheet and stuff, or an outline.
The Excel spreadsheet was the last thing that happened before I started drafting. The stories were just, I kind of had this character in my head, and I wanted to tell a story. And for years, I've belonged to this club. I always thought this would be an ideal bug-in location. We live on a peninsula, and sometimes it's hard to think about where you're going to bug out. And I think a lot of people, especially when they get into preparedness, really overestimate their ability to bug out. Bugging in is going to be a lot more realistic in most scenarios. And networking is going to help you bug out. If there's something really bad that's going on and you want to go to a rural location and you don't know where that's going to be, start trying to meet friends that live on that side of the state or whatever. But this range, and in talking to the executive officer, we had talked over the years, hey man, this would be an ideal location to kind of set up a safety zone. And I just wanted to take that story and fictionalize it. Now, there's a few different reasons, but I chose fictional names for the range and for the county and everything. And I guess the easiest one to explain would be that just gives you creative license. If a hill or a road needs to be in another location, you can do that, and someone's not going to say that's not there, right? So, but I started fleshing out the characters, and it started out with 7 point of view characters, and I was probably halfway through draft 1 when I realized I had been treating the disasters as the bad guy, and I had no antagonist. I had the one main protagonist and several other ones. The disasters really are just the thing that carries the theme, which is the decline of human behavior when the rule of law starts to dissolve, right? So I went back, created 2 more characters, and the prologue that a lot of people read first, and it has nothing to do with the disasters. It's years earlier. That sets up the other character I invented. Out of that 8th and 9th primary characters, I invented an antagonist, and another protagonist that is like the best friend of the main guy, Phil. And I set up an incident where he has to save Phil's life so that, later on when they don't necessarily see eye to eye on stuff, people understand the depth of their relationship.
Yeah, so when I went into reading the book, I knew it was about the Cascadia subduction zone. I knew Mountaineer. I mean, it's on the photo here.
Yeah,
the Mountaineer was going to erupt on
well,
it.
you hook them with that, right?
You got me on that one. But then when we kicked it off, it was almost. I mean, this is the story of Phil and Phil's network, and eventually they all come together, kind of.
Yeah.
But it kicks off with a total like shootout type. I was expecting like something like Dante's Peak, where you start seeing like rumors of the tremors and stuff like that. But it totally took me to this, and so then it got me invested in the characters more than the actual what was going to happen with it. So and so. Phil, so Phil's the main character. You know, is he a version of yourself? A lot of elements of yourself in it.
So, yeah, I would say Phil is just this fictional person. A lot of people ask me if he's my buddy from here.
Yeah.
And he happens to hold that same job position. But he and I are a lot alike. So it doesn't really matter to me who people think Phil is. Phil is his moral code is mine, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I'm secretly an introvert. But at work, I can be quite extroverted to be successful. But I'm really dedicated to my inner core, right? Like if you wrong them, you wrong me, kind of thing. And so I wanted a character that is like that, right?
Yeah, Phil, he's no joke in it. He's like,
yeah,
he's the real deal. And slight spoiler, I guess. Like in the scene, there's a shootout that happens. He gets his leg injured. He has to end up getting a prosthetic leg. And you mentioned that you have some knee issues, so that you kind of related a little bit with Phil on that.
Yeah, I'm a 30% disabled vet, but and I'd love to say there's some cool story about a hard parachute landing or something.
Yeah,
I was in the Navy. It was a softball injury. Let's be clear on that. But I've got really bad arthritic knees. Plus, I've been working for the shipyard here in Washington State for most of my career since.
Yeah.
Started out as a volunteer firefighter, and I did some paid firefighting time at a submarine base. Most of the time, though, I've been walking around on steel and concrete for the last 20-something years, right? So knees are worn out. Sometimes there's days when the arthritis is so bad, I just want to cut it off.
Yeah.
And so I said, let's give this guy a fake leg. You know?
Yeah.
And that was almost an author's expression of just being tired of having an arthritic knee.
Yeah, and and Phil, it comes up a little bit during it, although he seems like he's still fairly, he's getting around and he's doing.
Yeah, I gave him below the.
Yeah, below. Yeah. But so. Let's see. I have a review coming out with it. I've been working on it for a while, so I don't want to give away too many plot lines for that.
I don't think. Yeah,
there's a lot of cool prepper elements that you added to it, and I'm probably the only one that's chuckling when I'm reading it on like Phil's when there's a couple earthquakes that happen.
The water bob,
and he goes and gets the water bob, which I did a review of, and I said I'm laughing to myself.
I bought 2 of those years ago and stuck one at my father-in-law's house.
He's like, oh, I finally get to use this.
What's this plastic thing in my bathroom? And then he read the book and goes, hey, I got one of those.
Yeah,
so,
it was cool how many different prepper gear stuff was referenced in it. You mentioned about some dehydrated food like Thrive, and you had there was a Mountain House shout out.
I really wanted this book to appeal to just readers, people who like action and stuff. And I chose the post-apocalyptic genre as a place to kind of start marketing and start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I grew up kind of as a Tom Clancy fan, where he takes all these unrelated stories and blends them together. And I wanted to do that with characters and throw preparedness tips in there, but I didn't want only preppers to buy this book.
Yeah, it really I mean, if you're not a prepper, you're going to like this book. If you're a fan of earthquakes, you're going to like this book. And it read a lot like that. And in the beginning of it, you mentioned that you watched some YouTube videos on how to write a novel.
Yeah.
So I thought you were like, this is like your 20th book or something. It was it was really impressive on how invested I got in these characters. And talk a little bit about that.
Well, and I do feel, I feel like that was a blessing that God gave me that I've been ignoring for most of my life, and that's to write. So I wasn't too worried about polishing up writing, but there's a lot that goes into the writing business that you don't know until you go to YouTube. I always call it the University of YouTube.
Yeah, that's funny.
Whether it's changing the starter in your truck or whatever, but you just learn so much there. Include from you. Thank you all those years. But might need to edit this part.
No, that's
lost my chain of thought.
I could keep talking. We've been exploring the grounds over here, and it's like I never thought about it before as far as a rifle range being a bug out location, but it totally makes sense. You have a lot of open space. We've been doing a tour. There's various buildings, outbuildings. There's an office area. There's some outhouses. There's different defensive positions that you could have there. It just So when you have other people in this that are involved in the rifle range, are they also starting to think, hey, this is our bug out location too, based off of the book? Or,
I think,
or is it a secret? So,
yeah. Well,
actually, by the way, don't come over to this rifle range if it's a
right.
grid down situation, because Phil's going to be here in real life. And
yeah, there's
he's not messing around in it.
If you have skills, we'll at least talk to you. But,
sorry to interrupt, but that was so cool that skills were so valuable in this book. I think the most important skills were tactical skills, ham radio, like the comm skills, and then they really needed medical skills in it. And so they're finding all the right people to be part of their bug out group.
Sure.
And kind of you're trying to bring in some of these people. But the tactical and ham stuff was like the key stuff.
Sure. Well, and it is. I mean, in this, to be clear, and people have acknowledged this isn't necessarily gun porn, right? That's a lot of the prepper manual.
Yeah.
There's just this one shootout to the next. And there's only two.
There's only two shootouts. One's at the very beginning and one's at the very end, right?
Yeah. But the obviously at the core of Maslow's hierarchy is being able to defend what you have, right?
Yeah.
Eating and being able to defend what you have, and after that, those things are almost privileges after that. But but in the grand scheme of things, if you have a retired mechanical or electrical engineer and it's not an EMP type scenario, and that's really trendy right now in these types of books as EMPs. I wanted something where electricity can still work.
Yeah.
Then, those are skills that you might be able to barter your way into a location. But as far as all the other members, I think kind of like in the book, it's just
in the book that
people are going to
membership card.
People are going to flock you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you have your stuff together, there's a scene, and it's not too big of a spoiler, but there's a scene where a lady was trying to get in. She was like a barista, and they're like, we don't need the barista skill set. We need a doctor right now.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
And that's not something I came up with. If you read some of the other preparedness type novels, skill selection at your choke point is a pretty common theme in them. So.
And towards the end of the book, again, I'm going to be releasing a deep dive review of this book coming up shortly. But there's a lot of scary stuff that happens at the end. I don't want to give too much away, but it's like almost like the Canadian preppers after the Collapse series. A lot of what you see in that, it relates to that. And it was like when I halfway through the book, I was just going right through it because it was there's some scary stuff that was floating in your head. I
try to leave sections off that make you want to go to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
But then I change characters on you.
Yeah, it changes characters almost like Game of Thrones a little bit, like point of view.
Well, there's 9 point of view characters, and 2 of them are working together. They kind of go back and forth. So 8 storylines that eventually all merge. But that's where the spreadsheet, and where I kind of whiffed it a little bit ago in the interview, was I built the characters, I built the outline. I went back and forth several times in that, and then I built a spreadsheet of every character on their own tab. In every section, I could see a story, right?
Cool.
And then I blended that into a one master tab, and it wound up being 130, 140 lines long or whatever. And that is how I started breaking up chapters.
Yeah. And
even as I was in the middle of drafting, I would have a change, and I'd go back and have to do some copying and pasting and stuff. But that all was attributed to how the book flowed the way it did. So
cool. So. I mean, Austin's been very nice to show us around here. Has been getting a lot of ideas for the review as well. But this is going to be a trilogy. So this is the first book of 3. And we were talking earlier. I mean, like the gun. I like all the story, but especially the gun battles that do happen. I mean, you should be writing tactical books too. Like, I could see a long career of books coming out from. And it all started with some YouTube videos and some spreadsheets.
Those people that have thanked me for making it real character driven, connectable. Thanks for not just making it. The violence is coming. I mean, this book wound up being the bulk of the story, 16 days. The last chapter kind of covers a couple of more, but the first half of the book only takes 2 days.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy how bad society went down in a matter of just a few days. Like stuff started slowly.
There's part of me that thinks I didn't do it fast enough.
And there's like he does like a little countdown, like Tahoma's hammer plus 4 days, like 4 days after it, 7 days after it. By like when you're getting into 10 days, I mean it's game on. So
and what I did to do that was I built basically a humanity declination scale, and I just kept tracking. Well, what would people be doing at this point? You know? Okay, on the day before I had written they hadn't eaten, right? Yeah. So what are they doing on this day? And I just made sure that my storylines were in line with this scale.
Yeah, the bartering was really cool on that. Like there's one scene where a character was bartering for, they wanted to get across the sound, and so they're kind of bartering gas for water, and water was really valuable because a lot of it was contaminated from the ash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the whole bartering system that was happening in the book is really cool. But I'll try to keep this video at a fairly decent length because I have the review coming up. But again, special thanks to Austin Chambers. Thanks for having us come out here. He's been showing the family everything. They've been having a blast here. I think they want to be a part of the bug out location here. Maybe I'll join the cruise. So make sure you check out Cascadia Fallen, Tahoma's Hammer. It's available. You can buy the book on Amazon, I believe. It's on Kindle.
You got the ebook,
and you have the Audible. I did most of mine through Audible, which was awesome because I was commuting to work and just enjoying this story. So,
and the paperback's available on Barnes & Noble and some of the other book selling sites.
Right. So I'll put all those links in the description box below, and stay tuned for the full review, which is going to be coming out shortly. So again, thanks to Austin Chambers. Sure. I'll provide information for his stuff as well, and keep an eye on this book. I think if you're a prepper, if you're into earthquakes, if you're into emergency preparedness, you're going to like this book. You're going to want to pick it up. It really makes you a lot of ideas flow. So, so thanks again, and leave your comments below in the comments section regarding this video. Let us know any kind of questions. I'll try to answer them. I don't know if you're involved in the comment section too, but yeah, he might drop in and say hi. So.
I've had to learn to start getting better at that.
Yeah, that's it'll be fun. So we'll be looking through the comment section. So leave your comments below in the comment section. And thanks for watching this video. Again, this one's featuring Austin Chambers, the author of Cascadia Fallen, Tahoma's Hammer. See you guys next time.
Thank you.